Gotcha.
Jason, thanks for being on our limited series here about the 6 things that every business owner needs to know about sales tax and finding peace of mind in their sales tax.
Absolutely grateful to be here, Adam.
I understand you are the president of the sales tax people, is that correct?
I am. I'm the president of the sales tax people. This is my 29th year working in state and local tax, and we've really concentrated our efforts into sales tax in the last several years.
You're going on a big 3-0 of sales tax work
Next year, big 30.
That's big
Indeed.
Time.
It's hard to believe when you're 40, but I did it.
I like it. Well, Jason, you gave me a likeness of sales tax is like a wheel. Can you break that down? How's that working?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of metaphors. There's a lot of analogies in the world. A lot of people talk different ways about pillars of a system or what strengthens different things. But when I think about sales tax, I think about the terrain that you need to navigate, which is pretty challenging in the world today. It's gotten more challenging in the last 7 years. So I think about a wheel of compliance. How do we comply with everything that's coming our way? And a lot of times when we're in business, our hope is that we're kind of running flat, across flat ground, easygoing. But when it comes to different challenges that you face, especially with sales tax, it can be rough terrain. It can be uphill a lot sometimes, but sometimes it can get pretty fast downhill. And so I like to think about steps or pillars as spokes of that compliance wheel. And if you've ever thought in your mind, which maybe you've never thought about this, but if you've ever thought about riding a bike with one spoke, it's not going to hold up. Even on flat ground, it's not going to work.
That's not going to work.
And so I like to, as a metaphor, think about this as the 6 most critical spokes of successful compliance in sales tax, or finding peace of mind when it comes to sales tax.
Okay, yeah. You ever broke a spoke? Sucks breaking a spoke. I'm with you. Okay, I guess what does that look like? These spokes, what are they?
Well, I can tell you a little bit about the spokes. In order, I can tell you that the spokes are, first off, understanding your responsibility when it comes to sales tax. A lot of times people think about Nexus when it comes to, do I have a responsibility? Also, if I have Nexus, is what I sell taxable? And that's an additional spoke, right? I need to understand the taxability of my products and services. If I have Nexus and the products and services that I sell are taxable, then I might need to understand at what rate across what jurisdictions that I need to charge to accurately collect tax. And then I've got all sorts of different customers and clients with my business. And so I may need to understand whether some of those are exempt customers and whether I should have paperwork or certificates to manage that. Probably the most important spoke in my mind is the aspect of returns, making sure that you're managing, if you have those responsibilities and a liability to the state to collect and remit, that you're being able to do that on a timely and accurate basis. And then the 6th one would just be your relationship with the state, right? Those are 6 spokes in a wheel that we'll talk a lot about individually. But it really comes down to 3 important questions before I understand what kind of spokes I need to have in this wheel. The 3 most important questions that every company that does business in the US and Canada needs to answer. We try to make this as simple as possible. Do I have Nexus? Is what I sell taxable? Am I the responsible party for collecting and remitting that tax?
Okay, so we got those 3 questions. And if you're answering these questions, then you're in a good spot.
If you can answer those 3 questions, answers to those 3 questions will allow you to build out the spokes that you need in a very stable wheel so that you can hit jumps, so that you can hit rocks, so that you can go up and downhill and not find yourself falling off course.
These 3 questions, that's the start of finding this peace of mind, this sales tax peace of mind.
Yep.
What does that look like? I guess from both ends. You got sales tax peace of mind, which is what we can provide with these questions. And then do you also have, like, I guess a story, or what does it look like to not have sales tax peace of mind?
Well, this is a question that I ask a lot of people when I interact with them. And we talk to companies every day that are facing the challenges of this responsibility. So essentially, if I can answer those 3 questions, I at least can gain some insight in whether I have a significant responsibility or some exposure, or if I don't, right? If I don't have Nexus, what I sell is not taxable, I'm not the responsible party, I don't really have to worry that much about what I need to do next, right?
Okay.
But if I have Nexus, then I might need to get registered with a particular state. If what I sell is taxable, I might need to collect tax on those sales. into that state. And if I sell that on different platforms, maybe I sell it on a marketplace platform, or maybe I sell it on my own website, who's the responsible party for actually collecting and remitting that tax? So peace of mind comes from this. This is what I ask people. Does sales tax keep you up at night? That might seem like a silly question to a lot of people, but sales tax actually keeps a lot of people up at night. And so if you say yes, then I want to talk through these 3 questions and try to understand, how do we create the strongest wheel for you going forward?
It seems a little silly. What, sales tax? People are really thinking about sales tax so hard, it's keeping them up at night.
Yes. If you say to me, like, you might very well say, no, it doesn't. And I would ask you, should it? Because you can't ignore what responsibility that you might have. The worst thing that you can do, the biggest tragedy, the biggest mistake in sales tax, is to have had an opportunity to collect a tax where you were required to collect a tax, but you didn't, from a willing customer, because they understand sales tax is due on these things, not collect it and then have to pay it yourself out of pocket with penalty and interest to a state, right? If you think about companies today, let's just say your company runs on a 10% margin and you've missed collecting tax, and you should have been collecting tax for a year, for 2 years, for 10 years, and that tax comes out of your own pocket at, let's say, 7%, 8%, 10%, plus penalty and interest. You've just killed your margins for the last several years if you have to pay that out of pocket, right? So you cannot ignore sales tax because it can create a significant situation for you. So it's really challenging, but to gain peace of mind, to actually gain peace of mind, is to be able to answer those questions state by state. And then on top of that, get all of the spokes in place to have the most sturdy wheel as you navigate sales tax going forward.
Okay. So for me thinking it's silly, it's just a matter of, I don't know maybe what I don't know. I probably need to look at it and see what sales tax I need to be worried about.
And that's what companies really come to us about. And what we find is they don't know what they don't know. These questions are a starting place to understand what your responsibility might be. The spokes are what you put in place to have a system to navigate even the most difficult terrain.
All right, I understand. If somebody wants to know all these pillars, just one fell swoop here, you have a guide that lays it all out.
We do have a guide. Now, the easy name for that guide would be the Sales Tax Guide, but ours is called the Sales Tax Guide to Peace of Mind.
Because it's providing the peace of mind.
100%.
The spokes on the wheel.
If sales tax is keeping you up at night, the Sales Tax Guide to Peace of Mind is beneficial to you.
All right, awesome. I take a look at it. It's great. You can kind of look through it and actually step by step figure out if you need to be worrying about sales tax.
100%.
So yeah, great thing to check out. Jason, thank you for joining me today.
Absolutely.
Our limited series. I'm excited to go into each of these pillars, or I guess these spokes, a little bit more in depth. We'll be talking about that next time.
Awesome. I love it.